everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at Brick Rodeo, and today we're taking a look at a biblical storyline scenes here. So we've got our first builder here. If you want to introduce yourself, and we'll take a look at your scenes and then go down the line.
Hi, I'm Sage Summers, and I built 3 scenes. So my first one is the start of creation. So we have God's hand holding the world. It was really tricky trying to build a hand and make it look realistic, so I did my best. And then we have Noah's Ark. Obviously, it's not replica scaled. It's miniature version, so I had a lot of fun building the animals with only a couple of pieces.
What were some of the pieces that you found worked well for certain animals there?
Yeah, so the elephants I thought was really cool because of the trunk. I'm not sure what those pieces are called, but I thought they looked cool as trunks. And then the next build I have is Moses and the 10 Commandments. What I found difficult about this was trying to have him hold the 10 Commandments and make it look natural with like his cloak and everything. But I had a lot of fun building it, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you got some interesting techniques with both like the world in the first scene and then the character here, kind of getting those rounded shapes somewhat.
Yes, exactly. Lots of different scales, which were fun to work with. I've never built a boat before either, so it was fun to figure that out, and yeah.
Well, thank you. We'll keep going down the line then here. If you want to introduce yourself and your build.
Hi, I'm Ian from Spectacular Builds on Instagram, and my favorite Bible story, and the next one up, is David and Goliath. I really want to create like epic characters and really the scale of how large Goliath is and how small David is, but how great God is. And so I added some beefy arms from the Goblin King from The Hobbit. I had that in my collection. I knew that was going to determine the scale of Goliath. So I used this shield piece with the Ninjago like Sensei Wu's hat for like the point of the shield. I used some ingot pieces for like the abs on the armor, and his sandals with the teeth piece as like the toes. And his beard, it's similar to like the jazz, how they did the jazz quartet, the beard on that one. So, and then for his like large javelin, then over here he has his sheath. And I wanted to get his helmet, so it's like an upside down gold plate, and then the side of the helmet, I just really wanted to capture how much like armor and protection he had, and then how David was just a shepherd boy. And so for David, I didn't want to do a minifigure, because a minifigure, it's hard to get that like the epic moment of him slinging the slingshot. So I wanted to build a brick built character. And so the hardest part was definitely the angle of him, but this shield piece from Nexo Knights was the perfect torso to get that angle. But there's a gap on the side, but then I found the satchel piece, which also covers up the gap, but then is like accurate to like where he kept his stones. And I used a minifigure head with Frodo's hair, and then a white rubber band for his headband. And the slingshot is a whip with like a tooth piece with a 1x1 round with a hole that goes in it to look like the stone is in that like that pocket, to really just capture the epic moment of when he released the stone. And then for the landscaping, just a lot of snot work, and I'm not really familiar with like landscaping. I don't usually do that, so it was really fun to figure that out.
Yeah, it's always cool to challenge yourself in kind of a new type of building.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, great work. We'll go on to the next scene then. So if you want to tell us your name and tell us about your scene.
Yes, my name's Elijah, so of course I had to build a story from Elijah in the Bible. I'm fairly new at mock building, so there's not a whole lot of crazy techniques, but there's definitely a lot of snot on all 4 sides of the fireball that's coming down on top of the altar. And then I also didn't want to limit it to just that 12 by 12 square, so you can see some of the rock parts are kind of creeping out beyond the main frame of the build. So that was the main build techniques for that story.
Yeah, what were some of your favorite kind of fire type elements and red elements you included there?
Yeah, well, definitely several flame elements, but then I tried to get just a variety of colors, so I've got a lot of transparent red, transparent orange, and I tried to make sure I got some transparent neon orange as well, even though it's no longer made, but that was one of my favorite colors, so had to have some of that too.
Yeah. Great work, thank you. We'll bring Ian back in then for our next scene.
Yeah, so the next scene I wanted to do Jonah and the big fish. So this story is just so epic, and I thought it would look really well in Lego. And so I've seen some like whale builds where there's like kind of like a vignette in the background holding it up, but I really wanted to capture the above and below, because above it's like the beautiful ocean, but then underneath there's this giant almost sea monster that's like it's gonna swallow up Jonah. And to fit into our diameter of like the vignettes we're doing, the only way to really capture the size of the whale or slash fish was to make it like micro scale to show the size of the whale. And so I chose a nano fig for Jonah. It's actually Professor Lupin from Harry Potter. And it just really worked out well, and the mouth is open. Like, it's just like David and Goliath. I wanted to capture like right before the epic climax. And so for the boat, it's this fun piece for the underneath of the ship, and then the sails, and these like spaceship fins like going sideways for the fin. And for all the Bionicle lovers, the face of the whale is a Bionicle piece, and also the fins. And then for his mouth, it's actually the underneath of a seashell. And then for his tongue, to give it that like kind of like reptile-y sea monster tongue, I use the splat ice cream piece from the BTS set for the pink tongue to give that color inside the mouth. And the hardest part was to get the angle of the fish and make the water at the top straight. That was the hardest challenge. So it's using some angled Technic pieces to get like each segment. So then when it comes up, it has the ocean is flat. And we even have where Jonah jumped over the boat, and there's like the little splash wave from when he jumped in.
What I love about this build too is the way you supported it with just those couple of black pieces at the bottom, and so then it looks like it's almost just floating in midair.
That's exactly what I was going for. Almost when you step away, you don't even notice the black pieces, and that was definitely the hardest challenge. Everything else was pretty easy, but then when I got to that part, I knew that would make it look the coolest. Instead of having like a wall in the background holding up the water, I knew that the fish had to suspend the ocean. And so to get that perfect angle and like as thin as possible so you don't even notice it was definitely the hardest challenge, but I'm really proud of how the way it turned out.
Yeah, excellent work as always. Thank you. And our next builder, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Ethan the Artisan on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and I was also on season 3 of Lego Masters, and I just got accepted in the Lego Ambassador Network, which is really cool. But we've been planning this collab for months now, and like several months, and I was like, you know what, I want to build the nativity scene. Well, right before this convention, I was like, oh, I haven't built my scene yet, so I was like, let's do it. So I built it one night in like a few hours, and honestly, one of my favorite movies we watch at Christmas time is The Nativity Story, and that movie is like Oscar Isaac plays Joseph in that movie. So I took that character from the Dune set, and he makes a perfect Joseph, which is really cool to come up with the characters. That's what I did first. Kind of like, I like the minifigures. Those are the characters. Those are the star of the show. Of course, baby Jesus. I grabbed, I think, the head from the Coco CMF minifigure. It's like, that's a fun minifigure, and I was like, okay, what can I use as the swaddling clothes to wrap him in? And I looked at what's his name, Jay from Ninjago, and his mask made a perfect little blue little blanket to wrap him around, and it was really cool. I built the wise men. It was really cool to build it. I kind of based everything off of that movie, which is really cool. And Christmas, even though it's like the nativity story, it's kind of during Christmas. I think it's really cool to see it because you see a lot of models, like everyone in most people's houses around Christmas time, they have a little nativity scene. And I was like, I've always wanted to build it out of Lego. And once we talked about doing this collab, I knew immediately I wanted to do this. So it's really fun to do. I built it very quickly, so I was like, we planned that we were going to build it on a 16 by 16 base like this. You can see all of them; they're all on the same foundation. And I have a little freeform base, and you can see we have like an angel, which is basically Luke Skywalker with brown hair. But I used like those cloud elements for the wings, and that was really cool. And then we have like the little star on top using an upside down white parrot piece, which is really cool. We made some videos earlier, and it's not the most sturdiest thing, but the cow, I added a cow, which is really cool, and animals, and we got a goat, we got a sheep. It was really cool, and you can see the 3 wise men with the gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and that was really cool. Even though they showed up months later, I wanted to kind of create the whole story, kind of what you would see at a home during Christmas time. One thing I was really proud of is the roof technique. It uses those parts. I got them off the Pick-a-Brick wall at the Lego store. I've had them for months. I was like, okay, what can we do? I knew I wanted to have like a hay effect for the roof. And you can see it's like I used hinge plates and they kind of interweave them. And I thought I was pretty happy with how that technique turned out. And overall, very happy with the results, and I'm so glad to be part of this collab. It's such an honor to, I guess, represent the Jesus-loving community in the LEGO space. So I love it, and I'm super honored to be part of this collab.
Great work here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Bring in the next builder then. So if you want to take us through your scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, my name's Aiden, and I did the Jesus' crucifixion as well as the resurrection. So Jesus' crucifixion, I did the cross, of course. I actually didn't want to use any minifigures for my builds just because they're a bit more serious scenes from the Bible, serious stories. And so I actually did use Storm's cloth to kind of represent the cloth that drapes over the cross, as well as a little ingot piece for the King of the Jews sign. And then some snot brick techniques for the hill to kind of give it that immediate height. Since I am working at kind of a smaller scale, I couldn't include the other two crosses, unfortunately. But I think that the different colors with the tan shades, the brown, and then also the different olive green and tan give it a good kind of texture and a nice earthy sense for it. So, yeah.
And then the next scene also includes kind of very natural details.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So this one actually included some foliage as well, just little hints of it, and then a little that's actually spilling over onto the base as well. And then as you can see, you can kind of see the same thing with the tomb itself, kind of spilling over onto the base. And then inside, there's actually some cool details as well. So it kind of dips down a little bit, and you can see a little, a shelf there or a bed with Jesus's cloth and everything. That's actually the Sensei Wu. Cloth from the Ninjago movie, and then a little red stud to keep it intact and everything. So yeah, some snot brick techniques as well to get the look of the tomb down. Definitely one of my first uses of rock work. So definitely a lot of experimenting with that. But I love the use of slopes that I ended up going with, and then also some ingot pieces as well, kind of for a more brick look a little bit in there as well. So yeah.
Turned out great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll come back to Elijah then.
Yeah, so this is my second build. I did a Pentecost, and it's a fairly simple building, nothing too crazy technique-wise, but when I realized a lot of the Friends set hair pieces had the hole for accessories, I could put a flame on it. I was like, oh, that'd be perfect for Pentecost. So that's kind of really the only main unique thing about that particular build.
How did the kind of building in the background come together for you?
I just wanted to do a building, and there's not really enough depth to do a whole building, so it's mainly just the facade. But I wanted to make sure I got at least a door in there, a couple windows, and you see a lot of staircases in Bible-type stories. I don't know how accurate that is, but it looks cool, so I added a staircase as well.
Yeah. Great, thank you. And that takes us to the final build in the series here. So if you want to tell us about this one.
Yeah. So I'll be speaking for David, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. But yeah, this is Paul's incarceration. So as you can see, he is in prison. There's some rats around, and what's cool is that this is actually his first attempt at a mock, which is amazing since this is a really, really faithful adaptation, and it looks absolutely amazing. Again, with that, the texture and the snot bricks and everything, it looks really, really amazing. And then there's also some foliage on the side there. So he really knocked out of the park with this one. Some cool little references with, like I said, the rats and the cheese as well, to add a little bit of, some comedy as well in there. Maybe get the kids to laugh a little bit. So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to you and all the other builders involved here with the collab. It turned out great, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking a look. Yeah.